On launching a letter writing campaign to Governor Jerry Brown in support of passage of Senate Bill 1052. I selected this particular piece of legislation because it addresses the issue of rising costs of college education, one that will affect me in the very near future. Senate Bill 1052 was co-authored by Senators Steinberg and Alfies. It addresses the need of more affordable college textbooks by creating a council of 9 people to represent all levels of California public education, higher education, such as the UC system, the CSU system, and the community college systems. So what this bill essentially does is it creates a council of 9 people to select 50 of the most widely used textbooks throughout their schools and digitize them. So these books would be offered for free online for the students because currently textbook costs range from $300 to even $600 for just a textbook. And it would be a minimal fee of $20 if you wanted it in print, so really something very, very valuable. The other part of my project was to help in teaching the legislative process, which meant that I had to become more comfortable with it as well. After interning at the Senate over the summer, I knew much, but not everything that there was to know about the legislative process. You sort of had to figure it out. They didn't sit down and say this and this. So therefore, I had a bit of research, and I found that after the bill had been approved by the Senate, it would need to go over to the Assembly and back again until the 2 houses reached a consensus, after which it would be passed and sent to the governor, who typically has 14 days to sign this piece of legislation into law, except for in the case of this bill, it was passed on signing day, which is the last day of Senate session. So he had a whole month, which was very nerve-wracking for me, and I found that the bill had not been passed after 2 weeks, but I did a little more research and found out that he did have a month to sign it. So when I began my sort of campaign, it had already been passed through the Senate, and it was in the Assembly at the time, and I actually went back to my internship on signing day, and I got to be there a little bit after it had been passed, but still on the same day, which was very exciting for me. So I decided to advertise this bill primarily online in order to reach a younger demographic that the bill would affect. I made a video, which I posted on Facebook, and I'm not sure you can spell it. And then I wrote a petition on change.org. So this is just a picture of my Facebook page. As you can see, I created a page, Lower Textbook Costs, with Senate Bill 1052, and I have my petition on there. I have a lot of articles that went on regarding it, and it's just updates as to the bill's status and location. And then this is a picture of the format for change.org, where they let you write your own letter right here, and then people put their own personal, this is my mailing address, that type of thing, and then they sign it. And I have a copy of the letter here, so if you wanted to look at it and just pass it around. After everything was done, I went and I spoke with AVID classes, government classes, Civitas classes, to try and get people at Rio active in this campaign as well, because what I wanted to stress was that you don't have to be 18 years old to be active in your government. You, even as a minor, have a voice and can influence what's going on in your community. And so when this was all said and done, I was just shy of 100 supporters on both Facebook and change.org. And yes, I counted. Everything that I learned from freshman year to my junior year internships played an immense role in my project, so I'm going to talk about that now to sort of let you know how I came up with this idea and what experiences formed me so that I was able to do this. So I came to Rio Americana from a very small Catholic school. I could count the number of people that I knew on one hand, and I decided that I wanted to find a way to become more involved in the campus. So I thought that I would join the Civitas program. I wanted that core group that I could come,
maybe you want to hit the lights because it's easier.
I wanted that core group that I could come back to at the end of the day, the same faces that I would be able to recognize, because there were only 32 people in my class at my school, and so going to a class of 400 was a bit terrifying. At the same time, it helped me to explore my political interests, which had been sort of piqued by the 2008 election, which is very interesting. So it was sort of good for me in allowing me to branch out and become more connected with the Rio community, and it enabled me to further my education and gave me opportunities that I wouldn't have had elsewhere. Sophomore year comprised of my 2 favorite classes in the Civitas program, Communications and International Relations. I had always been comfortable speaking publicly in front of people. At my old school, they made us do it since like first grade, so it was never a big fear for me. I love the feeling of standing in front of a room, voicing my opinions, and giving the occasional impromptu, off-the-cuff speech. This class led me to join Real Americana's speech and debate program, and I have since competed at many competitions and done fairly well. This year, I found a coach for the team, and I am its co-president. I try to recruit members, and I go to every competition that I can. I am also a life member of the National Forensics League, which is my pin. So I'm a life member of the National Forensics League, and I should gain excellence level in the near future. My choice form for speaking is expository, which means that you teach either a concept or an object. So the first year I did it, I taught miniature horses because my grandparents have a miniature horse farm this year, or ranch this year. My topic is coffee. Sometimes people do procrastination and things along those lines. Really, it's anything that you make it, and this year I've chosen coffee. My choice form of debate is congressional debate, which is something else that I learned in Civitas. We did that freshman year, and so it made a very easy branch into the speech and debate program and definitely helped me there as well. It also played a very important role in me choosing my major for college. The second course we took that year was international relations, and what could be a more perfect introduction to the international world than the Arab Spring? It was so interesting and so much fun to learn about how our world is changing every day. When we go through our daily lives, we don't seem to notice it because everything within our own bubbles seems to be the same, but in reality, drastic things are happening everywhere. And so being able to monitor that and chart out countries and how they're working, you know, what's going on with Egypt and their interactions with the United States was something so interesting for me. So I decided to continue that with my major. So in that way, Civitas also was an incredibly important, sort of influential factor in my life. Junior year was incredibly busy, as it is for most every student at Real Americana, and to be honest, I did not care much for philosophy and political thought. However, my internships played a large role in forming where I am today and helping me specifically with my senior project. My first internship was at the federal courthouse under the victim witness unit. So there I got to speak firsthand of people who had either been victims of crimes or witnessed crimes. I had to call people and remind them of their court dates, answer phone calls to people who were wondering, why did I get this letter? And explain to them the cases that were pertaining to them. One very interesting thing that happened was there was a victim who had come to us, and we're not quite the witness protection program, but we do give people health hotel rooms when they need to be moved out of situations. And this man was in one of those such situations where he had seen a drug deal, and the defendants were coming in, and we had to sort of protect him. So that was very intense. I also got to see a press conference. I cannot remember the exact name of the case, but it had to do with a wildfire, and our federal court level had just won that case and had protected an immense number of acres of land for posterity. So that was something that was very exciting that I was able to witness as well. Unfortunately, no pictures allowed in the federal courthouse, so I don't have any facts or evidence from that, but I certainly do have pictures from my second internship, which was with the Senate photographer. So as you can imagine, lots of pictures, and I have these for you to look at as well. So my second internship with the Senate photographer was very different from my first at the federal courthouse, and that it was a much more hands-on type of learning. I interned with Lori Shelley. I don't know, maybe some of you know her. She is a Senate photographer, and I was on the first day given a camera and taught aperture, shutter speed, white balance, all of the sort of mechanics of taking pictures, which had been a passion of mine since probably around the 4th grade. And it was so special for me to be able to learn how to really use one of those big cameras and figure out what all the different words are, what the lingo is, and everything like that. And it was so interesting. Additionally, I got to go and watch Senate session every chance I could, which was also very fun. I came to recognize the senators by just their face and taking pictures of them, and I got to interact and talk with a few of them as well. And it definitely is helping me out in my government class right now because I got to watch it firsthand. I feel so fortunate to have been able to do both of these internships because they complement each other very well. I got to work in both the judicial branch of the government and the legislative branch of the government, and I got to work at a state level and at a national level. So in a way, they just complemented each other so well. I got to experience sort of the best sides of both worlds. These were my experiences in Civitas, which culminated in my senior project. My idea came from working at the Senate over the summer. There, the political world seemed more tangible to me. It didn't seem so far and removed just because I was there every day and I got to speak to these people and find out, oh yes, Senator Padilla is a real person, and it was very enlightening for me. I decided to do it because I would be able to use those skills that I had learned at my internship, as well as my communication skills that I had learned during speech and debate, as it was a very communications media type oriented project. Probably the most valuable thing that I took away from Civitas was confidence in myself. The ability to have an opinion, support my opinion, and stand up and say that I believed in it, even when most everyone in the room thought that I was definitely wrong, which didn't happen. And it's almost gratifying to know that you have an opinion that's bold enough to get a response. I don't know. But I think that was one of the most important things that I learned from the Civitas program. And very often we were given these projects where it was like, do a 2-hour presentation, plan a refugee camp, find auction projects or make a documentary, and always my first thought was, no. I'm a freshman, I'm a sophomore, I'm a junior, I'm not a grown-up, I can't do this. And bottom line was, I could. By the end of the project, I had learned either new technologies, I learned new communication skills. I can go and fundraise for you now. And it was something that was kind of impressive when I got to turn in my projects and I got to say, yeah, I did do that. I can do something. And I think that was probably one of the most important things that I learned from Civitas. I do think that I gained skills and valuable skills and knowledge, definitely, for me as a person, especially for what I plan to do in the future, majoring in international relations and somehow becoming involved in a governmental program. I learned a lot about group work, I learned a lot about leadership and politics, but most importantly, I discovered my own passions, and I found a way to make them come true. So, that was Civitas for me.
Very nice.
Thank you.
Maybe you'd like to open up for questions at this point in time. Would you want to flip the lights back on so I can see you again? Thanks, Meghan.
Well, I have a question, or
Yes.
more of a comment, and then see if you have a comment. The project that you chose, as you described it, was very interesting in that it involved the internet and communicating in a relatively new technology that I think is becoming more and more important in modern politics. But I wonder if you felt that it was more removed from actual interaction with people, because you sort of put it out there and you get signatures online, and does it feel like you're not really dealing with people?
Yes and no. The other part of my project, I did go and speak to classes, which was more, but my forte, I enjoyed that much more. I'm actually not a computer techie, so it was difficult for me to create a video and post it online and do those types of things. But as far as being removed from people, I would definitely say that was a challenge. For a really long time, I thought, I just need that one college student who is upset with the cost of textbooks, and they just need to find my petition, and then it will be viral, it will be everywhere. And that was definitely not the case. And so that was a challenge for me, especially trying to get real alum to sign it and thinking, okay, well, you go to a very liberal school, this was created by 2 Democratic senators, maybe you'll like this. And while they did sign it, they never circulated it. And that was something that I think I kind of wanted to, hey everybody, and I couldn't because I was stuck on that other half of the computer screen.
Having done the entire project, if you had to start from scratch, are there any things that you would do differently?
I probably would have begun campaigning earlier, simply because by the time I did sit down to think about my project, it had already been passed through the Senate, so I would have done more of that. But other than that, I don't really see what I could have done differently, simply because the bill is so much about young people, and young people communicate via the internet now, and it's sort of ingrained, and people don't call people anymore. And so I'll call someone and be like, oh my gosh, you actually called me. And so it's just, I think that it's something that is important for people, especially people who want to become leaders in the future, to be comfortable with it and to know how to grab people's attentions and get them interested in their causes without being able to just walk up and say, hi, listen to me. And so I think that I did learn something really valuable from that.
What was the most memorable part of your internship?
Probably, well, for the photography one, it would be definitely the first day when it was, oh no, the Senate starts at 11 o'clock, come on! And we were just running, and I was like, wait, what, you actually want me to use your camera and take pictures so that we can put them in the historical documents, and you're sure? And so that was really exciting for me to be given that responsibility, and at the same time to be able to become involved in something that I care about so much. And then for the judicial branch, probably that press conference was something that I was so proud to be a part of the building that did that. Of course, I was more with not the defense, the victims and not the attorneys, but still to be able to be like, hey, my government did that. They protected that land for future generations was something that was so exciting for me as well.
So did you have any interaction with opposition to the legislation?
Yes. One of my teachers found my page and definitely did not like this bill and put quite a few comments on it. And I tried very hard to back myself up and say, well, actually, X, Y, and Z. This teacher didn't like this bill because he felt that the market approach to the economy worked better, and I would have to agree with him for most cases, but I think that right now the textbook prices are outrageous. The woman that I interned with actually wrote a college textbook that's being used, and she does not get any of the money. It goes to publishers, and it's not even going to where it's supposed to go. And so, in that sense, I would say that the market technology, or the market system was broken, and it needed more competition, and by doing this, we are adding competition. So, I met opposition, and it was scary at first, especially having to walk into class afterwards and like, hi! But I think that standing up for myself and for what I believe in definitely helps me.
I have another question. Did you have any feedback from either anyone in the legislature or the governor's office about your efforts?
I did not have any specific feedback, but I did get to meet with Steinberg and talk to him about what I was doing, so that was very interesting. And all pieces, I don't have pictures of that though, and so that was very special for me.
How did the governor physically get your petition?
Well, the way that I did it on Facebook is I set up a link to his website because he doesn't have an email address where you can just say, hey, email it here, and that was another challenge. Some senators do, he did not. So I had the link and I had it written out so that they could copy paste and do it that way, and then on the petition sent it to him. So that is how I did that.